This ICC communication is a means of enforcing the award because it is meant to exact accountability for the actions committed by Chinese President Xi and others already found unlawful by the award. Given the unfortunate decision to shelve the award, it falls on us ordinary Filipinos to find creative and viable means to enforce the award, so we may be able to defend and preserve our national patrimony, including our West Philippine Sea, not only for ourselves but for our children and those yet unborn.
First, China is the only country in the world that has recently seized Philippine territory, and that is Scarborough Shoal. China is also the only country in the world that is claiming Philippine Exclusive Economic Zone in the West Philippine Sea. China is even preventing the Philippines from exploiting the oil and gas in Philippine Exclusive Economic Zone in the West Philippine Sea. Also, Chinese fishermen, supported by the Chinese maritime militia under the command of the PLA Navy, are pillaging the rich fishing grounds within the Philippine Exclusive Economic Zone in the West Philippine Sea. How can a country that has committed obviously unfriendly acts against the Philippines and continues to do so be considered a friend of the Philippines? Second, the claim that enforcing the Arbitral Award means going to war with China, a war that the Philippines will surely lose, is an utterly false claim designed to intimidate the Filipino people to submit to the will of China. The Philippines cannot go to war with China to enforce the Arbitral Award because the Philippine Constitution prohibits it.
President Duterte has basically initiated efforts to show his sensitivity to China, basically unravel the policy of challenging China in the South China Sea. Of course, crown pronouncements are doing, and of course, his aim is to, of course, to appease China, earn its goodwill, and harness its huge economy to finance several infrastructure projects in the Philippines under the Build, Build, Build program. Of course, appeasement enabled Philippines to tap China's financial resources to finance, of course, the program that I just mentioned. But of course, by appeasing China, the Philippines under this current administration is alienating its ally, the United States, its security partners, and in fact, certain fellow ASEAN member states who are, of course, suspicious of China's motives in the South China Sea. Countries that have been our friends and, of course, partners in pursuing this are, of course, doubting now how the Philippines would, respond in the future in terms of the South China Sea.
This one we're still waiting on, the recommendation that was made in that same report. The National Task Force was still busy agreed to create a team to explore study all possible legal actions against China. And this was actually tweeted by Secretary Locsin around that time. And there's supposed to be a legal team. That's March. What has happened since then? What has happened since then? I think the Filipino people want to know. Because there are legal options available. Ourselves, we just took a quick scan. There are several options under UNCLOS, several options under CITES and CBD, and there are additional options under the International Program of Action Against Illegal Fishing. Where are these legal actions? That's what we want to know.
Two components of Article 1 of the Constitution. 1. Philippine archipelago with all the islands and waters embraced therein. 2. All other territories over which the Philippines has sovereignty or jurisdiction consisting of its terrestrial, fluvial, and aerial domains, including its territorial sea, the seabed, the subsoil, the insular selves, and other submarine areas. International law defines territory as land territory where a state exercises sovereignty. Under Philippine domestic law, national territory is expressly defined as consisting of land, water, air, and the submarine areas. Thus, our EEZ is part of our national territory because it is an area, fluvial and submarine areas, over which the Philippines exercises jurisdiction.
Why should we care about the West Philippine Sea? Three things. Why is that fisheries and food. Second, habitat and ecological connectivity. And third, undervalued ecosystem services. So I hope these 3 points would be your takeaway messages today, so that when people ask you why West Philippine Sea is important, you can actually describe these things. So fisheries and food. So the West Philippine EEZ has larger total area than the municipal waters. We calculated these areas, and the West Philippine Sea EEZ actually takes up around 38.6% of the total EEZ of the country.
What are the implications of this administration's green light policy toward China as far as the West Philippine Sea are concerned? But of course, this has already been happening for a long time, but I think it is even more glaring now. Militarization of our waters, building of artificial islands, runways, hangars, weather stations, and the like. Harassment of Filipino fisherfolk, I think we're all familiar with that now. Depletion of our fish stock, extinction at some point of our endangered species, and destruction of coral reefs.
We are talking about making sure that future Filipinos have enough food on their plate, future Filipino parents have enough to feed their families. That is what we're fighting for. Not whether we like a piece of clams or whether